Have you left deals on the table because the seller simply didn't accept your cash offer? So what if you could offer an alternative? And that alternative is owner financing, aka seller financing. If you don't know what it is, I'm about to explain in great detail on how to use it to wholesale more real estate, more houses, even land when the seller says no to your lowball cash offers. So stand by. Let's get it.
Flip man, it's the flip man. You want some money in your hand? Flipping houses without credit or your cash. Get that bag.
Hello guys, this is Ty, aka the Flip Man, and this video is coming out of need, but it's long overdue. Owner financing, aka seller financing, the same thing. And basically, this is just another way to make money in real estate, which makes it so unbelievable. Another way to make money without using your money, if you choose to. All right, so in this particular video, I'm going to show you, going to explain, it's almost like a mini course on number one, what seller financing is and how to use it to either hold properties for yourself. But as you know, my channel is based on wholesaling real estate, which that's putting deals together, making money in real estate without using your cash or credit. If you decide to wholesale those properties out, the main reason is that I know you get a lot of offers rejected. We all do. But you need another tool in your belt so you can at least save some of those opportunities. I can just kick myself because I learned how to owner finance whenever I learned how to wholesale houses. And I've done very little of it over the years. That's 17 years of me leaving millions on the table in reality, from holding to fees on wholesaling to it all. So it came out of need because so many of the individuals that are sending me deals through dealator.com, which I appreciate, I understand a lot of those could be owner finance situations, but we were struggling on explaining how it works. So I started to do some searching for videos of people explaining, which there's some pretty decent one out there, but the way I explain it is the way I explain it. You know, you watching this video because I guess you like the way I explain things. So I went ahead and put this together mainly just for anyone who wants to use it to grow their business. But on top of that, I can help the individuals that have been trying or will try to work with me as far as being able to send deals to us on our 50-50 split through dealator.com, where we help you find cash buyers for your deals. So we're going to stop leaving some of this money on the table. We're going to get you to understand what owner financing is. Again, I did some research. I was trying to find videos just to send people because I didn't really have anything to explain it from A to Z. I think I have a couple of videos that are older, but it was like a combination of things. So I needed to do one just on owner finance, and I didn't find anything that I was really satisfied with to send to other people that have explain it here on YouTube or whatever. So here's my version. I don't know how good it's going to be, but again, I explain things the way I explain. That's probably why you're watching the video now. So this video, understand whenever you're looking at it that you can use it for not only houses, but you can own or finance land or lots or just any other form of real estate, really anything, but we're talking about real estate here. So understand that this video is more than just owner financing houses. You can take this same knowledge and understanding how to put deals together, and it's just so many ways you can negotiate an owner finance deal, but you can use it to save some of the deals where the price doesn't work for a wholesale deal. So enough of that. Let's get right into why you're here. Oh, I forgot, before we get started, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Tap the little bell to turn on the notifications. Select all so you are alerted whenever I upload new videos just like this one, and when we go live on YouTube on Thursday nights at 7:30 Eastern, where we answer your questions live. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at AskFlipMan. If you need a cash buyer, you want to partner with me on deals that you have under contract, simply go to dealulator.com, select the Send Deals tab, and we can partner on deals 50-50, where we will try to provide cash buyers for you. So enough of that. On to how to use owner financing to wholesale more deals. What is owner financing, aka seller financing, and how to use it to wholesale more houses when sellers say no to lowball cash offers that you make? So let's get right into it. So what you will learn, what does it mean, when to offer it, how to explain it, and the benefits, most common types of owner financing, the numbers, and I'll give some examples. And probably the most important thing outside of understanding what you're doing is how do you make money from it? Whether you're going to hold on to them or you're going to wholesale them out. All right. Just to give a quick definition, then I'll try to explain it in layman's or street terms, that when an owner of a house or real estate agrees to accept monthly payments or installment payments to sell their property at the agreed upon price. And what that simply means is once a seller gives you a price, say it's $100,000, I'm going to use that number a lot. All right. But that number doesn't work for you as a cash offer. What works for you may be $50,000, or 60 or 70, whatever it is, but 100 doesn't work for you. So basically what you're doing is you want to present them the opportunity or the offer to see if they will sell it on terms. And I'm going to get into how you explain that in a moment. So this is the actual definition that I came up with. There are a lot of them out there, but I tried to simplify it as much as possible. When an owner of a house or real estate agrees to accept monthly payments to sell their property at the agreed upon price. Now, most time it is that monthly payment. Sometimes people may just want a quarterly payment every three months. It's 4 quarters in a year. So it may be that or whatever, but normally it's monthly payments in most cases. All right. So when should you actually offer owner financing? Now, if your goal is always to just acquire property and never buy, fix, and flip or wholesale out, then you're going to offer it on all of them, regardless. You're not even trying to get a cash price on it, whether you have the money or the resources or not. All right. But for the sake of what we're talking about, because most of my channel is about wholesaling, the main reason that you're going to offer it is that when you make your offer or you get the seller to give you their bottom line price and it doesn't work for a wholesale transaction, then this is when owner financing should be offered. Okay. Again, if it's your goal to build a rent portfolio or a cash flow portfolio, and why I got the difference, because rentals are supposed to be cash flow, is that you may not want them as rentals. You may want to owner finance them back out to take the landlord inside of it out of it. So that's why I say cash flow, which again, rentals can be the same thing. So when should you offer it? And for the sake of wholesaling is when a seller is giving you a price that doesn't work for you for a wholesale deal, which is going to be a lot. So by not offering owner financing, you're leaving a lot of opportunities on the table. All right. So how should you explain it? And what are some of the benefits to the owner? Now, that's one of the probably going to be your biggest hurdle, because a lot of times you're going to deal with people that have bought real estate often. but they don't know what owner financing is, which is amazing to me. It is amazing to me. You'll see someone that has bought real estate for years as far as investments and normally for rentals or maybe even fix and flip, but normally for rentals, and they won't even know what owner financing is. So once you get past the hurdle of say, hey, okay, they gave you a price and that price doesn't work for you as far as a wholesale deal. So your follow-up statement or question would be, well, the price that you gave me doesn't work for us or work for me as a cash offer. Would you entertain if I paid you X number of payments over the next X number of years? Or to simplify it, you can say, if you already have the numbers in your head, or you may need to call them back to figure it out, but you already have the numbers in your head. And I saw this on another video when I was doing my research on it, on how to explain this, because I can explain it, but I knew I was going to miss some stuff because I know what to do. So I needed an order to go in. So I watched a few videos to try to get some tips on how to explain it. Because I know I'll miss stuff and I may still miss some stuff or whatever. So you can break it down to simplify it to someone. Say, what if I paid you, say the house, we'll just say the house was a house that they wanted, we'll say $50,000 for it as an even number. Say, what if I gave you 100 payments of $500 to pay this, to pay what you're asking, which is $50,000, because 20,000 may be the number that works for you. The ARV on the house may be 80, but it needs that much in repairs. I'm just throwing some numbers out there. It may not work, but I'm just throwing some numbers out there. So you'll say, I'll pay you 50. Well, a better example of that would be, we'll just say that the number that works for you, bottom line number that works for you is 35,000, but they're not going to go below 50,000. That's a better example, because the repairs, if they were $30,000, that probably wouldn't work or whatever. But okay, so you're going to explain to them, say, hey, well, what if you want $50,000, but I want to pay 35. Okay, that's my cash price. What if I paid you 100 payments of $500? So that actually equals out to 100 payments is about 100 months. So that's about 8.3 years or whatever. So that's what that balances out to, which you'll see in an example here when I put some numbers up here. So when you're explaining it that way to them, that simplifies it for them. So hopefully I didn't stumble too much. So again, whenever you explain it to them, you say, well, hey, the $50,000 that you want doesn't work for me. All right. 35 is the number that I really need. But what if I gave you $500 for 100 payments? With 100 payments. Okay. So that simplifies it for them. So now you're not really getting in, have to explain it. You then say, what do you mean by that? Say, well, you're going to become the bank. Say the seller's last name is, Johnson. All right. So now you would say, you're now Johnson Bank, and you're basically financing this house, which is your house, to me for $500 a month for 100 months. That's how you explain it to them. Now they'll say, well, tell me more. Say, well, especially if it's a landlord, say, well, now, I'm taking the landlording out of it for you. No more fixing toilets, roofs, heating and air, people not paying you, which that still could be the case, obviously. But I'm taking the landlord, and the only thing you're doing is just waiting on a check. They call it mailbox money. You're literally waiting on a check or a deposit for me to pay you that $500 for the next 100 months. Also, deferred taxes on capital gains, which that's a whole nother ball game in itself. But whenever you have a property and you sell it, say years later or whatever, from what you paid for versus what you sell it for. Normal people sell it for more than what they paid for. So the difference, you have to pay taxes on that capital gains. From my understanding how it works. All right. So, or it may be a situation where you're actually just taking over payments, because that's a whole nother ball game on owner finance. You get into the subject too, but I'm just trying to keep this simple so you can explain it. So I had to spend a lot of time on this part of it because this is going to be the biggest issue. So number one, you're normally going to offer this whenever the price that the seller wants is more than what works for you. right? And then the way you explain it to them is that you go back and say, well, I'll pay exactly what you want if I can get the terms that I want. And the terms that I want, in this example, they wanted $50,000. If I give you $500 for the next 100 months. Now, I'm glad I brought that back up. Now, that's just not going to be automatic now, because which I'll explain later. You're not just going to automatically always do it in 100 payment increments. Sometimes it may be 30, sometimes it may be 50. It's just going to depend. So again, I'll explain that a little later once I get into the example. All right. Now, there are 3 common types of owner financing. Now, what I just explained is the most common type is where they don't owe anything on the property. It's called free and clear carryback. And that's when the owner owes nothing on the property and sells the property to someone on monthly payments or installments. As I mentioned before, installments could be quarterly or whatever, but normally it's going to be monthly payments. So 30%, a little over 30%, I think it's 31% of the properties in the U.S. don't have any mortgage or anything owed on them. That's a lot of properties, right? 30%. So 1 out of 3 properties, they don't owe anything on them. Now we'll get into the ones that they do owe stuff on them, but 30%, a little over 30% of those, they don't owe anything on. So that example I just gave you of the $500 for 100 payments is ideal for a situation like that. And they were asking $50,000. So that's the free and clear carryback. The next one is subject to, and that's where they do owe money on the property. So let me read what it means. Subject to is a way of purchasing real estate where the real estate investor takes title to the property, but the existing loan stays in the name of the seller. In other words, subject to the existing financing. Again, in other words, subject to the existing financing. The investor now controls the property and makes the mortgage payments on the seller's existing mortgage. Okay. All right. So let me break that down in layman terms / street terms. They owe money on the property, normally a mortgage, right? But they are willing to owner finance the property to you. Okay. So what happens is you have subject to documentation or documents created to allow you to, number one, take deed to the property, but the financing, the loan still remains in their name. And so when the payments are made, ideally what you want to do, you can make the payments back to the person that the previous owner, because you're not owner because you have deed to them. But ideally, if you're going to do that, the name of the mortgage company needs to go on that payment that you're making. Or you may, during the negotiations, you may have negotiated where you can be authorized on the actual mortgage account, and you can just call in and make your payments or however, so you can discuss the payment. Normally, that's probably what you want to do anyway with subject to. You want to be able to discuss the loan, and you're an authorized user on the account as far as discussing the status of it or whatever. So in a nutshell is that they actually have a loan on the property. They have a loan on the property, and they decide to do owner financing, which is subject to existing financing. So when you do the paperwork, you're going to sit around with an attorney or title company to handle this for you. And the mortgage is going to remain in their name, but you will become the owner. Now, there's some drawbacks on this called a due on sale clause. At any point in most mortgages, they have the option to call a loan due if title changes hand. But in most cases, the only thing they care about, mortgage companies, is making those payments so they can collect that interest. That's what they're in the business for. They're not in the business of taking houses back. They do that out of consequence, out of need when they foreclose on someone. If you're making those payments, they don't generally care. Now, again, I'm not an attorney, but I'm just telling you this is legally done all over the country or whatever, but they still have the right to call it due if they want. All right. So that's subject to existing finance, or subject to, you may have heard a lot. All right. Contract for deed. All right. Now, I'm going to read the definition here. Contract for deed is a tool that can allow buyers who either don't qualify for traditional lending options or who want a faster financing option to purchase property. The seller retains legal title to the property until the balance is paid. The buyer gets legal title to the property once the final payment is made. All right. Now, this is basically where it says contract for deed. We have a contract in place, more of a business transaction, right, than a real estate transaction. Using that as a tip that I got from that makes sense. And basically, you don't get deed to the property like you're doing the free and clear carryback and the subject to. Only thing you're getting is an agreement that if you make all the payments agreed upon in that contract, then you would get deed to the property, similar to whenever you buy a car, you have a loan on it. When you buy it from an auto dealer or whatever, you own the car in reality, but you don't have title to the car. That's the best example I can give you until you pay it off. Same thing with contract for deed. So hopefully that makes sense. So that's another option on owner financing. So let's get into some examples. But now this is going to be based on the free and clear carryback. These examples, I can just go for days with the others and with this one next. So I'm just going to do some simple examples. All right. Okay. So the seller agrees to sell for $100,000, right? They agree to sell for $100,000. So this is a situation where the number, again, that may work for you is $70,000, and you really can't go beyond that because of repairs and your money or whatever. But the owner doesn't want to go below 100, but the ARV on the property may be 130, right? Okay, so, all right, so now, you would agree to pay, and well, let me back up. Before you agree to before you make an offer on the number of payments that you're going to make, you need to check to see what a property will probably rent for in that area. You have to think in those terms, even though you may own or finance the property back out, but you still can always, charge whatever you want to, whatever you can get away with. But we're just going to go if you're going to rent the property back out or the investor that you wholesaled it to. So we'll just say the rents in that area go for $1,500 a month. You probably want at least a minimum of $300 as a spread between the payment that you're going to make and the amount of the rents in that particular area. Ideally, it would probably need to be $500 because you're going to have costs whenever you're doing rentals. Now, if you're just owner financing and right back out, you're taking the landlord out of it, so you really won't have to worry about that part of it. So for the sake of this example, though, so we're going to say the market rents for $1,500 for this type of property in this area. Okay, so 100 payments at $1,000. Again, that's 8.3 years. No interest. We'll get into that. And then no down payment. You say, wow, they're doing no down payment. Okay, that's a smoking deal. But that's possible. Very possible. Okay, so now that's an owner finance deal. So you'll sit down with an attorney, a title company, and put all this paperwork together, and boom, you got the house. Okay, so that's one with no down payment, a no down payment example. Okay, with the down payment example, okay, the seller agrees to the $100,000 again, but 10% down, which is $10,000, now leaves a balance of $90,000 after the down payment, and then it's 100 payments at $900. All right, still 8.3 years, no interest. Again, the rental market says $1,500. All right, you say, well, I don't have $10,000 put down on the property. I'll get into that in a minute. All right, because it's all about setting up the terms. All right, now that is still a smoking deal for a lot of investors, smoking deal. All right, but depending on the repair of the car, but we're just assuming it's minimal. All right, so we're going to do one with interest. And a quick thing is you want to look at interest on a particular, how to calculate interest. Just simply go to Google and do a search for simple mortgage calculator. And normally Google just provides one just right off the top that just has simple interest, the years, you just put in the amount and time to just spit it out. So for the sake of this, I had already done that. So seller agrees to pay, seller agrees to $100,000, $10,000 down, $90,000 bank balance at 6% interest. And over 15 years, which is 180 80 payments. So that's a $759, no taxes and insurance, right? Because that has to be included. So, but for the sake of we're just trying to keep this clean, keep this clean or whatever. All right. So, and then for 15 years, that's what 180 payments total. All right. So, so that's 6%, interest and, so that's 6% interest. So, again, this will make more sense, but I'll just go ahead and explain it right now. So basically now, if you were going to pick up this property as a hold, and if you were going to rent it out, then obviously your renter, if you're still in the same market, then you're only paying $759, but you're charging $1,500 in rent. That's, what is that? Not quite $750. I think it was $741 in cash flow before expenses on this particular property, if it's done this way. All right. So if you were going to hold on to this, then bam, that's what you're getting. You'll be able to, get your rental deposit or whatever, but your cash flow at that amount of $741 a month if you rented it out for $1,500, if my math is correct. All right. Now, if you were going to wholesale this deal out, then probably what you would do is, now the $10,000 has to be covered. So what you would probably do is wholesale it out to an investor for $20,000, right? Or maybe even 15. You pick up a quick 5,000. All right. And the $10,000 will go to the seller, and then you put the 5,000 in your pocket. Or if you wholesale it out for 20, the 10,000 will go to the seller, and you get the other 10,000 in your pocket if you held on to. if you wholesale the deal out. All right. Now, so I sort of already got into that. So if you hold or wholesale, so how do you make money from these once you set up these opportunities? So it just depends on what your goal is. If you're trying to hold on to a property, that's one thing. If you're trying to just wholesale out the terms that you negotiated, that's another. All right. So the seller agrees, and these are only example, guys. These are only examples. Now, you don't just automatically do that. I'm saying that for the people that work with me. All right. If you're going to work with me and we're going to present a deal owner financing, we need to speak about it first, and I'll give you the numbers down. And the more you do it, the more you'll understand how to do it yourself. But if you're sending deals over to us through dealulator.com, just don't automatically make an offer. We'll walk you through this process or whatever. All right. So seller agrees to $100,000, but, you're selling it, to the person that you're going to own or finance it back out to, because we're not going to do that. I'm really not worrying about the rental side. Just explain that. If you're going to own or finance it back out, all right, then you own or finance it at $130,000. And then, you would do the 100 payments at $1,500. And the 8.3 years may be same or more, it depends on if you did interest or not. So no interest, same or with the interest. And then the down payment that you would collect on that deal, and that's the one where you didn't have a down payment with the seller, you may collect a down payment of $10,000. Sometimes you get $20,000, $25,000, $30,000. It just depends on how hot the market is and what you think you can get away with. Now that's the total deal. So let's look at it if you hold it. So your profit, if you hold it, would be $30,000 on the sale, $500 monthly cash flow, and $10,000 down payment, which will bleed into some of that $30,000, of course. Okay, that's if you hold it. Now, if you wholesaled it, then you can just wholesale out those terms for $10,000, $20,000 assignment fee. Maybe a $5,000. I just put those numbers up here. So. But that's how you would actually make money from it. So, I know this was a lot. You can go back through it. I wanted to put it on the screen so it'll make a lot more sense versus, me just trying to explain it. You're not seeing actual numbers. So hopefully that helped. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much or whatever. Took some time out to put this together. It's a video, as I said, it was long overdue. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification by tapping the little bell so you're alerted whenever I upload new videos, and when I go live on YouTube. Also, you want to partner with me, dealulator.com. That's dealulator.com. Go there and select the Send Deals tab. Again, I hope this video helps. Don't forget about text to flip, skip to flip, mail to flip, all of them, all your marketing channels. Thanks. And don't forget about my Flipper North on Thursday night at 7:30 Eastern. Join us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Periscope. Thanks, and we will see you guys on the flip side.
Flip man, it's the flip man. You want some money in your hand? Flipping houses without credit or your cash. Get that bag.